The stars burned cold and distant as the Allied fleets faced their darkest hour. 1,000 ships from dozens of worlds clustered in the shattered system of Varkon, their weapons blazing against a relentless enemy swarm. The Clithrax, a brutal and efficient invader, advanced without mercy, crushing every defense in their path. Admiral Saren stood on the bridge of the flagship Valoran, eyes scanning the holographic displays that showed the enemy closing in from all sides. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched around the command rail. Reports flooded in, ships crippled, planets lost, civilian populations evacuated or enslaved. The coalition forces were on the verge of collapse, shields down to 40% on the southern fleet. A junior officer shouted. Saren barely nodded, suppressing the rising panic. Maintain formation. Focus fire on the lead cruisers. We cannot let them break through. Behind him, other commanders barked orders, but it felt futile. The Clithrax war machine seemed unstoppably an ocean of dark metal, advancing without pause or pity. Rumors whispered through the ranks that no help would come. Earth, the origin of the oldest legends of humanity, had been silent for centuries. Many believed it was gone, lost to time and war. Admiral, a voice said quietly, the fleet's morale is dropping. We won't hold much longer. Saren's gaze hardened. Then we hold anyway, for the sake of every innocent life. Thousands of miles away, on a hidden orbital station above Earth, a different story was unfolding. Captain Alina Voss stared out at the blue and green marble below, the planet's beauty masking the scars of its own battles. Earth had endured wars and near extinction, retreating from the stars to rebuild in secret. But now, beneath the surface, the greatest fleet humanity had ever built was ready to awaken. The Armada of Titans was more than a collection of more than a collection of ships. It was the culmination of centuries of lost knowledge, recovered technology, and relentless human ingenuity. Warships bristling with advanced weapons, faster than light engines refined for precision and speed, and crews trained in tactics. That combined experience and instinct. Elena's voice was steady as she addressed her officers. The galaxy believes we are gone. They count on our silence. It's time to remind them that Earth still watches. That we are here. Her second-in-command nodded. The coalition needs us. The Clithrax will not stop until everything is destroyed. Then, we stop them, Alina said simply. Back in the Varkan system, desperation thickened the air. Coalition pilots pushed their ships to the limit, facing swarms of attackers with no respite. Fighters spiraled through debris fields, dodging plasma blasts. Capital ships exchanged devastating volleys, each hit shaking the fragile line. A young soldier named Talon fought in the chaos, his voice steady in the comms. They keep coming. We're outnumbered, but we're not beaten. His words carried through the fleet, a spark of hope in the darkness. Then, the impossible happened. A sudden burst of light appeared beyond the nebulous edge of formation of massive ships, their silhouettes bold against the starfield. The fleet held its breath. The new ships advanced with precision and power, weapons gleaming and engines humming with confidence. The tide was turning. The first transmission echoed across the coalition channels. This is Earth. We come not as legends, but as protectors. You are not alone. Admiral Saren's eyes widened. He turned to his officers. Prepare to receive the human fleet. We fight together. As the ancient myths of humanity became reality, the desperate stand on Varkon shifted from hopeless resistance to a fierce battle for survival and the dawn of a new alliance. The Coalition Command Center buzzed with activity. Officers moved swiftly between terminals, decoding and analyzing the unprecedented transmission from Earth. For centuries, humanity had been nothing more than a distant legend, a whisper in the vastness of space. Now, the signal was clear. undeniable and powerful. Admiral Saren stood at the heart of the room, surrounded by representatives of dozens of species. Skepticism hung thick in the air, but so did hope. The message had cut through the enemy's jamming, unbreakable and resolute. Earth was alive, and help was coming. "We've confirmed the transmission originated from Sol System," said a technician. Her voice steady despite the tension. "The technology signatures are unlike anything in the Coalition archives, human design, but evolved." Saren rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "The humans have been silent for generations. If this is true, then Earth's return could change everything." Beside him, Ambassador Ankara of the Zolari species shifted anxiously. "I had long doubted their existence. This revelation, it challenges everything we believed." Sarah nodded. "We must prepare to welcome them. Their arrival may be the turning point we desperately need." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Captain Alina Voss was piloting her flagship Titan's Wrath through the outer reaches of Coalition space. Sensors aboard her ship detected the distress signals of the Varkan system, a brutal, desperate call for aid. Her face was calm, but determined as she addressed her crew. "The galaxy forgot about Earth, but we have not forgotten the galaxy. We will show them why humanity endures." Communication officers scrambled as the fleet's signal arrays locked onto Coalition frequencies, broadcasting a message of alliance and resolve. "This is Captain Alina Voss of the Earth Fleet." Her voice rang clear. "We come bearing strength and solidarity. Together, we will turn the tide." Back in the Coalition Command Center, the first human ships appeared on the tactical displays. Sleek, imposing vessels unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive armor, their weapon systems advanced beyond current standards. Ankara leaned forward, voice a mix of awe and disbelief. "Such power, ... How have they remained hidden for so long?" Saren smiled faintly. "Humans are nothing if not resourceful and patient." The arrival of Earth's fleet sent ripples through enemy ranks. The Clithrax commanders hesitated, uncertain. Of the new threat, it expected the Coalition to fall alone, not to face the return of a long-forgotten power as the human fleet closed in on Varkon. Their presence ignited a spark of hope. Coalition soldiers, exhausted and outmatched, watched as Earth's warships took strategic positions, shielding retreating civilians and providing cover for the battered fleets. Captain Voss coordinated with Coalition leaders, sharing tactical data and coordinating strikes. The humans introduced new combat techniques, rapid maneuvers, coordinated squad tactics, and precision strikes that quickly turned the battle's momentum. One pilot, Lieutenant Kira Dre, led a daring attack, run through enemy lines, destroying a critical supply depot. Her actions became the first of many heroic moments that would soon be celebrated throughout the Coalition. News of Earth's intervention spread fast. Messages from grateful worlds poured in, their leaders pledging renewed loyalty and cooperation. Yet, amid the optimism, Alina knew the true test lay ahead. The Clithrax were ruthless, and the war was far from over. In a private moment, she confided to her second-in-command, "They thought we were legends. Now, they know we are real, and they will come for us all." As Earth's greatest armada moved deeper into hostile space, the galaxy watched, waiting for the next chapter of this extraordinary alliance to unfold. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's sprawling orbital complex, the heartbeat of humanity's resurgence pulsed steadily. The great shipyards of the Sol Coalition, hidden for decades, now hummed with activity. It was here that the Armada of Titan's Earth's greatest fleet was forged from metal, technology, and determination. Captain Alina Voss stood on the command deck of the Titan's Wrath, the flagship of this formidable armada. The ship's vast corridors buzzed with engineers, technicians, and soldiers, each focused on the mission that had awakened Earth from its long slumber. "We're ready, Captain," her chief engineer reported. "Weapons calibrated, shields reinforced, engines primed. This fleet isn't just ready to fight, they're ready to win." Alina nodded, her gaze steady. "Good. The galaxy needs to see what humanity can do. We don't just survive, we dominate." The ships themselves were marvels of human innovation. Each vessel blended ancient Earth designs rediscovered from forgotten archives with cutting-edge alien technologies scavenged and reverse-engineered from past wars. They carried weapon systems capable of firing concentrated plasma bursts, adaptive armor that could recalibrate to counter enemy attacks mid-battle, and engines that allowed for sudden, precise jumps through space. But what truly set the Armada apart was its crew. Decades of training and preparation had forged an elite force of pilots, tacticians, and engineersmen and women who had dedicated their lives to protecting not only Earth, but every world that might call on humanity in its darkest hour. "We are more than just machines," Alina reminded her officers. "We are a symbol. A promise to every corner of the galaxy that Earth will not abandon its allies." In the war room, holographic maps flickered with intelligence reports from the front lines. The coalition forces held tenuous positions across the Varkan system, and the Clithrax remained relentless. Time was running out. Alina activated the communications console. "All fleet commanders, this is Captain Voss. We launch in T-10 minutes. Maintain readiness. When we enter Varkan space, our purpose is clear: to break the siege and save every life we can." Outside the viewport, the Armada formed into battle formation, massive ships aligning like giants awakening from slumber. Their engines roared to life, powerful enough to push through the thick gravitational fields of the nebula surrounding Vark on as they jumped into the system. The view shifted to a chaotic battlefield below. Small fighter squadrons darted through the void, escorting crippled vessels. Ground forces held desperate positions on shattered planets. The enemy's dark ships moved with cruel efficiency. Elena's voice echoed through the fleet. "Let them see humanity's strength. Let them know that the legends were true." The first contact was thunderous. Enemy ships surged toward the approaching Armada, confident in their numbers. But as human warships unleashed barrages of concentrated plasma and precision missiles, the Clithrax lines shattered. Fighters piloted by elite Earth veterans zipped through enemy formations, striking with deadly accuracy and tactical brilliance. Their maneuvers were a blend of instinct, training, and a fearless will to protect. Lieutenant Kira Dre led a squadron that penetrated enemy defenses to destroy a critical energy node powering the Clithrax command vessels. Her voice crackled over the comms. "Node destroyed. Enemy command systems disrupted. We're opening a path." Coalition forces below cheered as the tide turned. Ships previously cornered found new hope, rallying under the banner of humanities. Return. Alina smiled, watching the battlefield unfold like a masterful game of strategy. But she knew this was just the beginning. The Clithrax would adapt, retaliate harder. The war would demand more than weapons and tactics. It would require unyielding spirit. "Prepare for anything," she warned her officers. "Because the galaxy is watching and humanity will not disappoint." As the Armada pressed deeper into the fight, one thing was clear: Earth had awakened, and its greatest fleet had arrived. The void exploded with light and fire as Earth's Armada plunged headfirst into the heart of the Varkan system. The battle was no longer a desperate defense, had become a fierce counterattack. Coalition ships, once cornered and beaten back, surged forward with renewed vigor. Their morale, bolstered by the presence of humanity's war machines, Captain Alina Voss stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, her eyes scanning the tactical display. Enemy vessels swarmed the battlefield like locusts, but the Armada's overwhelming firepower carved swaths through their ranks. Enemy fighters incoming, warned Lieutenant Kira Dre overcomes. They're fast, but we're faster. The cockpit of her sleek fighter, Kira weaved between plasma bolts, her pulse pounding. Years of rigorous training kicked in as she executed complex maneuvers, dodging an enemy strike craft attempting to flank her squadron. Target locked, she reported. Firing. Her missiles streaked through space, striking the enemy vessel and detonating it in a brilliant flash. Around her, other pilots mirrored her skill, turning chaotic combat into coordinated strikes that dismantled the Clithrax offensive. Back on the Titan's Wrath, Alina issued orders that highlighted the human strategic ingenuity. Unlike many alien fleets that relied on sheer numbers or brute force, the human Armada emphasized precision, speed, and adaptability. Deploy rapid response teams to protect vulnerable coalition supply lines, she commanded. Use flanking tactics to divide the enemy's attention. We hit where they least expect it. The alien commanders, watching from their command centers, exchanged glances of astonishment. They fight unlike any species I've seen, murmured Admiral Saran. Their tactics are unpredictable. A young Zalari officer nodded. It's as if their battle sense comes from something beyond technology, raw will to survive and win. As the battle raged, the Clithrax commander grew frustrated. His forces had underestimated the humans' arrival. They are more than myth, he growled. Crush them before they rally our enemies. The enemy unleashed a massive assault aimed directly at Titan's Wrath. Energy beams converged, threatening to overwhelm the flagship's shields. Shields? Holding at 70%, reported Elena's tactical officer, diverting power to forward defenses. Prepare countermeasures, Elena ordered. And ready the flankers. In the fighter squadrons, Kira led a daring strike squadron, cutting through enemy lines to disable the artillery platforms targeting the flagship. We can't let their guns fire another shot, Shay said. Follow me. With a burst of speed, her squadron darted past enemy cruisers and capital ships, their missiles and blaster fire tearing through enemy turrets. The platforms exploded in sequence, breaking the siege on Titan's Wrath. The flagship's shields glowed brighter, reinforcing their defenses. Alina smiled grimly. They thought our arrival was a surprise. They didn't count on how hard we fight. The combined coalition and human forces pushed the Clithrax back. Planets once lost to enemy occupation began to flicker with hope as resistance movements took advantage of the distraction. On board the Valoran, Admiral Saran hailed Elena's flagship. Your arrival has changed the course of this war, Captain. The coalition owes you its gratitude, Elena replied with steady confidence. We're not here to be thanked. We're here to win together. Amidst the chaos, small moments of camaraderie began to form between humans and their allies. Alien engineers worked alongside human technicians to repair damaged ships. Soldiers shared stories, laughter, and a newfound respect. Yet, beneath the celebration, Alina remained vigilant. The Clithrax were formidable foes, and this first encounter was only the opening act, as Titan's Wrath prepared to lead the next wave. She addressed her crew with quiet determination. Today we proved that humanity's return was real. Tomorrow, we finish what we started. The galaxy had witnessed the first true encounter with Earth's greatest armada, and none would soon forget the power of human resolve. The smoke of battle still hung heavy over the Varkon system, but a palpable shift had taken hold. Where once the coalition had fought only for survival, now they fought with purpose and hope, buoyed by Earth's unstoppable armada. Yet the war was far from won. Captain Alana Voss stood before a sprawling tactical map aboard Titan's Wrath, the flickering holograms showing enemy positions and damaged fleets. The Clithrax, though battered, were regrouping rapidly. Their commanders were ruthless and cunning qualities that demanded vigilance and swift adaptation. Enemy reinforcements are arriving from the outer sectors, her intelligence officer reported. Their numbers could double within hours. Elena's eyes narrowed. Then we need to strike before they get organized. Send a rapid strike team to intercept and delay them. Her crew moved with precision, coordinating interceptors and capital ships for a daring operation. Meanwhile, the coalition forces rallied behind the human fleet, their confidence growing with each victory. On the bridge of the battered Valoran, Admiral Saren prepared his officers for the renewed assault. Earth's fleet has given us a fighting chance, he said gravely, but this fight will test every ounce of our strength. The coalition warships formed a defensive perimeter around Varkin's most strategic point supply depots, communication hubs, and vital planet-side installations. Every inch mattered. Losing ground now could mean the collapse of their entire defense. Lieutenant Kira Dre's squadron soared into action once more, tasked with intercepting enemy reinforcements. Flying at breakneck speeds, Kira's pilots pushed their machines to the limit, weaving through debris and enemy fire. Formation Delta. Tighten up, Kira commanded, voice calm but charged. We've got incoming fighters and bombers. Let's make sure they don't reach the fleet. The enemy waves crashed against the interceptors like storm tides. Explosions lit up the void, and fighter pilots on both sides fought with desperation and skill. Kira's squadron, however, leveraged superior tactics and human adaptability, tearing through the Clithrax ranks. Back on the Titan's Wrath, Alina watched the battle unfold through real-time feeds. The sight of her pilots pushing the limits, combined with the coalition's reinvigorated fleets, sparked a fire within her. But as the tide turned, an ominous warning appeared on the sensors. A massive Clithrax dreadnought, far larger and more heavily armed than any seen before, merged from hyperspace. Its hull was dark, scarred, and bristling with weapon systems capable of obliterating entire squadrons. "Commander," Alina said. Voice sharp, "Identify that vessel." Her tactical officer replied, "Designation: Varkin's Wrath. It's their flagship dreadnought. We've never seen one of this scale before." Admiral Saren's cum tone crackled through the channel. "Captain Voss, that ship could break our defenses if allowed to close. It must be stopped." Alina nodded grimly. "Agreed. Divert all available firepower and prepare boarding teams. We need to neutralize it." The Titan's Wrath and allied warships converged on the dreadnought, opening fire with everything they had. Plasma bolts streaked through space, impact explosions rocking the massive enemy hull. Kira's squadron launched a daring assault, weaving through concentrated fire to deliver precision strikes on critical weapon arrays. Inside the dreadnought, human boarding teams prepared for the dangerous task ahead, fighting through enemy corridors to seize control or sabotage vital systems. The battle tested every facet of human skill and resolve. Explosions rocked the ships, alarms blared, and every second was a fight for survival. As the boarding teams breached the dreadnought's core, Captain Elena's voice cut through the chaos. "Remember why we fight. This is our moment." With ruthless efficiency, the boarding parties dismantled the enemy's command center, disrupting communications and weapon control. The dreadnought faltered. Outside, Clithrax ships began to retreat. In disarray, the Clithrax war machine, once thought unstoppable, was reeling. Alina allowed herself a brief smile. The tide was turning, but she knew the war was far from over. The galaxy's greatest threat was wounded but not defeated, and Earth's Armada would stand ready, unwavering, until victory was won. the crushing victory over the dreadnought, Varkanes. Wrath marked a turning point, but it was far from the war's end. As the smoke settled, Captain Elena Voss and her crew knew that the Clithrax would not retreat quietly. The enemy was cunning, adapting quickly to the humans' arrival. On the Titan's Wrath, Elena stared out at the starfield, her mind racing. The battlefield was silent for now, but intelligence reports warned of covert operations and sabotage behind coalition lines. "We've won battles," she murmured to her second-in-command, Commander Yolan Mir. "But the war isn't just fought. With weapons, it's fought in shadows." Yolan nodded. Clithrax spies have been detected near Varkun's civilian outposts. They aim to undermine morale and sabotage supply lines. Elena's jaw tightened. "We need to root them out before they turn our victories into Pyrrhic ones." Meanwhile, across the coalition territories, covert agents and informants scurried through the darkness. The Clithrax sought to strike at the heart of the coalition's alliance, the trust and unity between species. On the planet Zaroon, a vital supply hub, sabotage rocked the city's infrastructure. Power grids failed, communication arrays were hacked, and unexplained explosions caused panic. Elena dispatched specialized teams to investigate. Human operatives worked alongside coalition security forces, blending expertise and tenacity. "Human instincts make the difference," said Captain Zara, seasoned coalition officer, impressed by the adaptability and resilience of their new allies. At the same time, Elena led a diplomatic effort to strengthen bonds between coalition members. She knew that unity was essential to resist the Clithrax's psychological warfare. "Fear divides us," she told leaders at a conference in orbit around Varkan. "But together, our combined strengths forge an unbreakable shield." Her words resonated, rekindling hope back on Titan's Wrath. The tactical team detected an unusual signal emanating from a remote sector, possible Clithrax staging ground. "Captain, this could be the source of the sabotage," reported Lieutenant Kira Dre, recently promoted for her heroism in battle. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Prepare a stealth mission. We go in quietly, strike fast, and disrupt their operations before they escalate." Kira volunteered to lead the squadron. Her determination was clear. "We won't let the enemy use shadows to win this war." The stealth mission was perilous. Flying low and silent, Kira's team navigated dense asteroid fields and electromagnetic storms designed to jam sensors. The enemy base was hidden in a cavernous asteroid, guarded by patrols and automated defenses. Every step inside was a calculated risk. Inside the facility, the squad uncovered weapons, caches, encrypted communication hubs, and prisoners, civilians, and soldiers captured in previous raids. Kira's team disabled the base's core systems, severing enemy communications and destroying their supply stockpiles. But as they prepared to leave, alarms blared. The Clithrax had discovered their intrusion. A fierce firefight erupted in the tight corridors. The humans fought with precision and grit, holding their ground while awaiting extraction. Captain Voss coordinated reinforcements from the Titan's Wrath, providing cover fire as Kira's team made a daring escape through narrow tunnels. Back aboard the flagship, Kira's squad returned, battered but victorious. Elena met them on the hangar deck, pride evident in her eyes. "You faced the shadows and brought back the light." Yet, even as they celebrated this success, the greater war loomed. The Clithrax would not stop until the coalition was broken, and Earth's Armada stood as the galaxy's last line of defense. In the quiet moments, Elena reflected on the path ahead. The battles would grow darker, the sacrifices heavier, but humanity's spirit, unyielding and fierce, would lead the way. For the war was not just for survival, it was for the future of every star. Victory was never free. Captain Elena Voss knew this truth all too well as the celebrations aboard Titan's Wrath echoed through the corridors. The Clithrax had been dealt a devastating blow. Their covert operations dismantled and their flagship crippled. Yet the cost weighed heavily on everyone. The fleet bore scars-damaged ships, lost comrades, and weary faces. Alina walked the decks, greeting crews and sharing quiet moments with those who had fought alongside her. Their bravery was beyond question, but so was the toll in the medical bay. Lieutenant Kira Dre recovered from wounds sustained during the stealth mission. The young pilot's injuries were serious but not fatal, a testament to both her skill and the efforts of the medics. Alina visited Kira, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You did what no one else could. Rest now, you earned it." Kira's eyes shone with gratitude and determination. "There's more to fight for. Captain, I want to be ready." Alina nodded. "We all do. But we must be smart. The war is far from over." Meanwhile, on the bridge, the tactical officers pored over new intelligence. Despite the recent victories, unsettling reports came from the outer sector's Clithrax forces regrouping, preparing for a final, decisive strike. Enemy fleet movements detected near the Andara Nebula, reported the tactical officer. "They're massing faster than expected." Admiral Sarone's voice crackled over the comms. "We've pushed them back, but they still have strength. If they strike here, they could sever our supply lines and isolate us." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we hit them first. No hesitation." The Titan's Wrath and Coalition fleets prepared to move out once again, the weight of responsibility heavy on every soul aboard. Yet, even as the fleet readied for the next battle, shadows stirred within their ranks. Tensions flared as differing strategies clashed. Some favored cautious defense. Others demanded aggressive offense. Alina found herself mediating heated debates, reminding commanders of their common goal. We fight as one, or we fall divided. The pressure mounted when a distress signal interrupted communications. A nearby coalition colony was under attack. A swift, brutal assault that threatened to erase a vital foothold. "Divert ships to assist," Alina ordered. "We cannot lose them." The fleet raced through hyperspace, arriving too late to prevent widespread destruction, but in time to save survivors and mount a counterattack. Amid the ruins, Alina stood with coalition leaders surveying the devastation. The cost of war was clear: homes destroyed, lives shattered. But amidst the rubble, a spark of hope remained. Survivors rallied, their resilience inspiring even the hardest hearts. That night, aboard the flagship, Alina addressed her crew. "We have won battles, but the war demands sacrifice. Every victory is built on the courage of those who stand firm when all seems lost." She paused, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Remember those who cannot fight anymore? Honor them by pressing forward, for their future and ours." Her words rippled through the ship, strengthening resolve as the Armada prepared for the final confrontation looming on the horizon. Elena's mind returned to Kira Young, fierce and embodying humanity's fighting spirit. She vowed silently, no sacrifice would be in vain. The galaxy would witness the true power of humanity, just as warriors. But as guardians of hope, the next battle would be the fiercest yet, and Earth's Armada would face it united, unbroken, and unstoppable. The dark expanse of the Andar Nebula stretched before the combined fleets of Earth, and the coalition a swirling cosmic storm that seemed to mirror the turbulence of the galaxy itself. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, her gaze fixed on the enemy fleet emerging from the shadows. This was the moment the war would be decided. The Clithrax had gathered everything they had left for a final, desperate assault. Their dreadnoughts, cruisers, and fighter swarms moved with deadly intent. The air crackled with tension as millions of souls held their breath. "Enemy fleet formation complete," reported the tactical officer. "They're advancing on a collision course." Elena's voice was calm but resolute. All hands, prepare for battle. This is the fight that will shape our future. Across the coalition, ships powered their weapons, raised shields, and launched fighters. The space around Endara lit up with the hum of engines and the distant thunder of war. Lieutenant Kira Dre gripped the controls of her fighter, heart pounding. She glanced at her squadron, each pilot as determined as she was. Stay sharp, fly fast. Protect each other. The battle erupted in a symphony of chaos-blinding energy beams, missiles streaking through void, and the roar of engines cutting through silence. The Titan's wrath led the charge, weaving through enemy fire to strike critical targets with devastating precision. Elena's commands coordinated strikes, defenses, and rescues. Her mind a whirlwind of strategy and instinct. The Clithrax fought savagely, refusing to yield. Their dreadnoughts unleashed torrents of plasma, shaking the coalition lines and testing their shields to the limit. Amid the maelstrom, Kira's squadron executed daring maneuvers, breaking enemy formations and protecting vulnerable allies. Her skill and courage inspired those around her. Suddenly, a massive Clithrax Super Weapana colossal cannon mounted on a heavily shielded cruiser charged its deadly blast. Its target, the heart of the coalition fleet. Super Weapon charging. The warning blared. Estimated impact in 30 seconds. Elena's mind raced. Divert all fire to that cruiser. Disrupt the charge. The fleet unleashed a concentrated barrage. Missiles, lasers, and plasma streams hammered the enemy ship's shields. Cracks spiderwebbing across its armor, Kira led a suicide run, flying straight into the enemy cruiser's weapon array. Explosions rocked her fighter, but she held course, firing torpedoes that crippled the weapon just moments before it could fire. The cruiser erupted in a massive explosion, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The tide turned, with their super weapon destroyed. The Clithrax forces faltered. Coalition and human ships pressed the advantage, pushing the enemy back into retreat. Amidst the wreckage, a Clithrax command vessel attempted to flee. Elena seized the moment. Ordering a chase dogfight, Kira's squadron cornered the flagship. With coordinated strikes and unwavering resolve, they disabled its engines and forced its surrender. Admiral Saren hailed the Titan's wrath. Captain Voss, the enemy flagship is yours. Elena responded, voice steady. Prepare boarding parties. We end this now. Boarding teams stormed the crippled ship, capturing Clithrax commanders and securing vital intelligence. The enemy's command structure crumbled. The war was over. As the fleets gathered, Elena addressed the assembled commanders and crews. Today, we have done more than win a battle. We have united a galaxy against a common darkness. Let this victory be the dawn of a new era, one where cooperation and courage define our future. Cheers echoed through the ships, but Elena's thoughts turned to those lost, the brave souls who had given everything. Later, standing before the stars, she whispered, "We fight not just for survival, but for hope. For every world, every life, and every future yet to come." The human armada had arrived, and in doing so, had forever changed the fate of the stars. The legend of humanity was no longer myth. It was a promise that no matter the darkness, the light of Earth's greatest warriors would always shine.